Imagine a world without coffee. Imagine waking up in the morning without that warm, dark liquid to clear your mind. No espresso, no cappuccino, no latte. For most of us, this sounds like a nightmare. Today, coffee is the second most consumed beverage on earth after water. It fuels our businesses, our creativity, and our mornings. But here is the strange truth. Coffee was not invented by a scientist in a lab. It was not created by a king in a palace. The discovery of coffee was an accident, a complete mistake. And the credit for this discovery does not go to a human. It goes to a goat. Welcome to the Wisdom Key. Today, we are going to learn English through the incredible, true story of the origins of coffee. Relax, grab your favorite cup, and let's travel back in time. Our story begins a long time ago, around the year 850 AD. We are in the high mountains of Kaffa, in the country we now know as Ethiopia. Here is cool and misty. The forests are thick and green. In these mountains lived a young man named Kaldi. Kaldi was a simple goatherd. Every day he took his herd of goats out to graze in the forest. It was a quiet, peaceful life. Usually, the goats were calm. They ate grass, walked slowly, and slept in the sun. But one afternoon, something strange happened. Kaldi was resting under a tree when he heard a noise. He looked up and saw his goats acting crazy. They were not walking, they were running. They were not sleeping, they were jumping. The older goats were playing like little kids. They were bleating loudly and dancing on their hind legs. Kaldi was confused. Are they possessed by a spirit? He thought. He watched them closely. He noticed that the goats were eating small, bright red berries from a strange bush. Kaldi was curious, but also cautious. He waited until the next day. The same thing happened. The goats ate the red berries, and suddenly they had endless energy. They didn't even want to sleep at night. Kaldi decided to try the berries himself. He picked a red fruit. It looked like a cherry. He put it in his mouth and chewed. It was slightly sweet, but mostly bitter. Suddenly, Kaldi felt it. His heart beat faster. The fog in his brain cleared away. He felt awake. He felt powerful. He felt happy. Without knowing it, Kaldi had just experienced the world's first caffeine rush. Kaldi was so excited that he filled his pockets with the red berries. He ran down the mountain to the nearest monastery. He wanted to share this miracle with the holy men, the Sufi monks. Look, Kaldi shouted to the head monk. These berries are magic. They give you strength. They chase away sleep. The monk was a strict and serious man. He looked at the red berries in Kaldi's dirty hands. He frowned. To him, anything that changed the state of the mind was suspicious. This is not a miracle, the monk said angrily. This is the devil's work. In a fit of rage, the monk grabbed the berries from Kaldi and threw them into the fire. But this act of anger turned into a moment of destiny. As the berries burned in the fire, the seeds inside them began to roast. The green beans turned brown, then dark black. And then the smell hit them. It was not the smell of burnt food. It was a rich, complex, and heavenly aroma. It was the smell of roasting coffee, the same smell that draws you into a coffee shop today. The other monks came into the room. What is that divine perfume? They asked. Curious, the head monk raked the roasted beans out of the fire. They were too hard to chew, so he ground them into a powder and mixed them with hot water to save them. They tasted the black liquid. It was bitter, but bold. And that night, for the first time, the monks did not fall asleep during their long midnight prayers. Their minds were sharp. They felt closer to God. They realized this was not the devil's work. It was a gift. News of this energy drink traveled fast. From Ethiopia, the coffee beans were carried across the Red Sea to Yemen. It was in Yemen that coffee began to be cultivated and farmed properly. The port city of Mocha became the center of the coffee trade. For hundreds of years, coffee remained a secret of the East. It was consumed in religious shrines to help people stay awake for prayer. They called it kawa, which originally meant wine in Arabic. But since alcohol was forbidden in Islam, coffee became the wine of Arabia. By the 15th century, coffee houses, known as kafekanes, started appearing in cities like Cairo, Mecca, and Constantinople. These were not just places to talk. Unlike bars where people drank alcohol and got drunk, coffee houses were places where people drank coffee and got smart. They played chess, discussed politics, shared news, and listened to music. Travelers from Europe visited these cities and saw this dark black water. At first, they were terrified. One European traveler in 1615 described it as syrup of soot and the essence of old shoes. But eventually, the addiction spread. When coffee finally arrived in Europe in the 17th century, it caused panic. Some priests in Italy went to Pope Clement VIII and asked him to ban it. They said, "This is the drink of the infidels. It is Satan's invention." The Pope asked to taste it before making a decision. He took a sip. He paused. A smile appeared on his face. He said, "This devil's drink is so delicious. We should cheat the devil by baptizing it." With the Pope's blessing, coffee exploded across Europe. In London, coffee houses became known as penny universities. Why? Because for the price of a penny, you could sit for hours and listen to the smartest writers, scientists, and politicians discuss the news. It is said that the French Revolution was planned in coffee houses. The greatest insurance market in the world, Lloyd's of London, started as a simple coffee shop. Coffee changed society. It moved people from drinking beer for breakfast to drinking coffee, which made them energetic and productive. It literally fueled the Enlightenment and the Industrial Revolution. So, the next time you hold a warm cup of coffee in your hands, take a moment to think. Think about the misty mountains of Ethiopia. Think about Kaldi and his dancing goats. Think about the angry monk who accidentally roasted the first beans. You are not just drinking a beverage. You are drinking history. You are drinking the accidental majesty that woke up the world. I hope you enjoyed this story. Before we go, let us review some key vocabulary from the story. 1. Herder, a person who looks after a group of animals, like goats or sheep. 2. Monastery, a building where monks live and pray. 3. Aroma, a strong, pleasant smell, usually of food or drink. 4. Cultivate, to grow plants for food or other products. 5. Beverage, a formal word for a drink. Tell me in the comments, how do you take your coffee? Black, with sugar, or do you prefer tea? Don't forget to like and subscribe to The Wisdom Key for more incredible stories. Stay wise and stay awake.